Hi, it's 72 Daystar. It's been a while. I kind of got, I made a video and then, you know what, I had a whole bunch of, I got home and started to edit it. I looked at my face and I noticed I had this, I was out in this cold, weather was cold and a little windy, and I had like this, I had some mucus right down into my mustache. I thought, I can't upload that, that's gross. And then I got sick for better part of a week. With food poisoning, so it kind of took me out of the loop for a bit. But anyways, back in action. Just a short one today, I hope. I was talking with trolling, sort of trolling. Trolling atheists. I call it trolling because the impression that I gave them was, well, let me start at the beginning. The beginning was I was looking at this video by Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins talking about Christianity, and of course, typically you have a whole bunch of young atheists who are adding their comments below the video, and one of them said that, you know, Christians are just weak-minded. And so I said, well, really? Could you really believe that all these people, through all these ages, are Christians and Muslims and Hindus and so forth, just because they have some sort of deficiency of the mind? That's your explanation? And, he kind of shut up, but then another person piped in, and he persisted that, yeah, he thought they were weak-minded, and I pointed out that it's not a matter of weakness of mind. If you look at where people are religious and why people are religious, the biggest factor of all is how they were brought up, where they were brought up. That's the biggest factor that determines whether what religion someone has and how religious they are. So it's really hard to imagine. I put it forward, do you really think all the red states are full of mentally deficient people and New Hampshire has all the smart people? To which he responded that pretty much, yeah, that's what he thought. So that was kind of amusing. But I think when people do that, it's, you know, I'm a little stupid. I'm always thinking that people are out there trying to help, trying to improve things. But I think a lot of people who do that, who kind of insult people of faith, they're doing it because it's an ego thing for them. It serves their ego in some way. It's like bullying works. If I can push you around somehow, some way, that makes me feel a little better about myself. And I think that's kind of the downside of it. There's an very interesting, I want to explore it more, very interesting research in psychology in which they found that when you provoke someone about their beliefs, and you give them something that goes against their interests, and you present them with information that goes against their interests, they're very likely to reject it. They're very likely to reject it strongly, especially if it's put in sort of an insensitive way that doesn't reaffirm them as people. If you do reaffirm someone as a person, and then you give them information that's contrary to their interests, they're going to be much more open to it. So for me, I think if I really do want to see a world with fewer dogmas, with fewer dogmatic people, then it's really in my interest to try to first sort of acknowledge them as a person and try to find a common ground, you know what I mean, and then start a dialogue in that context, and it's bound to be much more productive, I think. But people who just go around flaming people, and I think it's just to serve their ego, I wonder if they might just be, you know, shooting themselves in the foot by making people angry and quite likely entrenching more deeply in their beliefs. So, but I also recall another idea that I learned in social movements when I studied in university with Rod Banshees. He made the point that the most successful social movements are often two-pronged. For example, the IRA and Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin says to the British power, okay, let's sit down and talk. Let's talk about your needs, our needs, try to come to a compromise, etc. And meanwhile, you have the IRA that wants to blow things up. So that sort of incentivizes the British power to sit down with Sinn Féin and talk with people that they hope can be at least reasonable. So I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, someone might encounter one of these young, angry atheists, and then maybe later they encounter me and they might be sort of like, what's up with that? Why do they have to be so rude about how they present themselves? And maybe it might give an opening for me to dialogue in good faith. You know what I mean by good faith? Where there's actual a sincere interest from both sides to understand each other's position, and that's bound to be far more productive. So I can't be dogmatic and say to these young atheists that are angry and want to sort of vent, and who knows why they want to vent? Who knows? They might have had a tough upbringing with a strict parent who tried to enforce their religion upon them, and who knows? That could be their background, and this might be them venting. So I don't want to be dogmatic and say, wave the finger and say you can't do that ever, but I think they should at least consider the other possibility that they might be just making more of what they dislike. It's my thoughts for the day. If you have thoughts that differ, that go along with it, whatever, put something down below in a comment, please. All right? 72 Daystar, out.